The movie begins with a hunter chasing a rabbit in a crop field. The hunter tries to shoot the rabbit a lot of times, but somehow the rabbit gets saved every time. The rabbit manages to reach the end of the farm where there is a highway crossing. The scene ends with the hunter carefully aiming to shoot the rabbit in one shot. Cut to the next scene. The movie goes in flashback, where a person is playing piano in his home. His name is Akash. By his actions, one understands that he is blind. He lives in a rented house along with a cat. Later, we get note that Akash is preparing for a music competition, and to manage his expenses, he is giving music classes. Next, we are taken to the scene where Pramod, a veteran movie star, is talking to his wife, Simi, who is much younger than him. Pramod was a celebrated star during his youth and was part of several movies. One can assume that Simi married Pramod for his money and fame. The following scene takes us back to Akash, who he is knocked over by Sophie while crossing the street. In order to make it up to Akash, Sophie takes him to nearby coffee diner. While conversing with Akash, she gets to know that Akash is pianist and in search of a gig. Fortunately, Sophie's dad owns a diner, and they were looking someone just like Akash to increase the engagement for their diner. So Akash is hired to play piano there. Sophie drops Akash at his home, and Akash reveals that he was hit by a cricket ball in childhood, because of which he lost his eyesight. Now here comes the first big twist. Akash, on reaching his home, removes his lenses, which means he was not blind and was tricking everyone to gain sympathy. Next evening, Akash goes to diner and plays piano beautifully. At the diner, the retired actor Pramod is also present. He was awestruck by Akash's performance and invites him to perform for his wedding anniversary at his home and hands him over some advance as well. He plans this as a surprise for his beautiful wife, Simi. Akash reaches Pramod's home for the personal concert that he had requested. Pramod's wife, Simi, opens the door, and initially, she is reluctant to allow Akash inside the house, as she was not aware of his arrival. Later, she lets him come in and play piano. As Akash starts playing piano, he noticed a dead body lying on the floor. He pretended to ignore the dead body and seeks permission to go bathroom. He notices that the body was of Mr. Pramod Sinha, and in the bathroom, a man named Manohar, who Simi was having an affair with, is hiding. Simi and Manohar clean the body and stuff it into a suitcase while Akash plays. After this incident, Akash rushes to the police station to report the murder. Another suspense is waiting for Akash there. He discovers that Manohar is a police inspector, the same man who killed Mr. Pramod. Frightened, he changes his complaint. He says he lost his cat, and she hasn't returned since 2 days. The news of Pramod's death was in the headlines. Akash learned from Pramod's daughter Dani, from his first marriage, that fears Simi and Manohar had killed Pramod and has claimed his 1 crore. Meanwhile, during Pramod's funeral, Simi overhears her elderly neighbor, Mrs. Desa, talking to a police officer about Pramod's murder. She told police that she saw a muscular, well-built man entering his house on the day of his murder. When police inquiries about the same with Simi, she refutes all the claims. Later, she kills Mrs. Desa by pushing her off the ledge of their apartment. Akash sees the murder yet again and is forced to continue the sham of his blindness. Akash rushes to his home and tries to call Dani and explain her everything he knows. Meanwhile, a notorious child Bandhu who lives in Akash's neighborhood records a video of Akash fully able to see and shows the same to Sophie later. Simi is now suspicious of Akash and wanted to confirm if he is truly blind. She brings offerings for him after her husband's last rites. Akash prepares tea, and Simi adds poison to it to test Akash. Akash is left with no other option to reveal the truth to Simi. He admits to faking his blindness as an experiment to help his piano playing. He says he will leave for London and will keep Simi's secret, but she had already drugged him with the sweets she offered him initially. When he wakes up, he realizes he has been blinded from the drug Simi gave him. Later, Manohar comes to Akash's home to kill him. Akash barely escapes, but he faints after hitting a telephone pole. Akash wakes up in an illegal organ harvesting clinic. Dr. Swami and his assistants Murli and Saku wanted to sell both of Akash's kidney. Later, they decide to spare Akash when Akash reveals he has information that will make them millions. They kidnap Simi, stage a suicide scene, and blackmail Manohar. However, Murli and Saku double-cross Akash, tie him up with Simi, and plan to take the money themselves. Manohar shoots Murli, but is trapped in an elevator and accidentally shoots and kills himself. The money is revealed to be counterfeit or fake. Simi makes Akash believe that she will help to free himself, and he removes Simi's blindfold. He tries to escape. while Simi frees herself first and attacks him. Dr. Swami enters at the same moment. After a brief fight, he and Akash knock Simi out, tie her up in the boot of a car, and drive away. Dr. Swami reveals that Simi has a rare blood type and that her organs would sell for millions. He also plans to use her corneas to restore Akash's sight. He also had an offer from a Saudi sheikh for the same. Akash refuses to be part of this crime and the curtain ends. The audience is taken to Europe and it says 2 years later. In Europe, Akash is seen playing piano and enjoying his art and still appears to be blind. He meets Sophie there and explains her everything. When Sophie asks her what happened to Simi, the audience is again taken to flashback. Akash explains that Simi awakes in the car boot and began making noise. Dr. Swami had to stop to kill her, but she overpowered him and seized the wheel. She dropped Akash off and tries to run him over. A nearby farmer who was trying to kill a rabbit misses, causing the rabbit to jump and hit the windshield. Simi lost control of the car and was killed. After Akash tells her the whole story, Sophie tells Akash he should have accepted Dr. Swami's offer to restore his sight as well as part of the reward money. Silently, Akash leaves and uses his cane to knock a can out of his path. The movie ends on a cliffhanger. What I believe is that Akash took Dr. Swami's offer and took Simi's cornea to get back his eyesight. He was still pretending to be blind. Since he was too ashamed to accept what he did, he spinned a story about the rabbit.